Nearly 40 mpg, great tech, and lots of comfort. What's the catch? Jared here with CarBuzz.com, and this week I'm reviewing the all-new 2022 Lexus NX. This is the NX 350h hybrid model, one of 4 different versions you'll be able to buy. And in this video, I'm going to show you all the things I love about this car and all the things I hate. Let's start with something I love about the NX, the comfort. Out on the road, this is still Lexus smooth, but like the last NX, it's not exactly the sportiest vehicle in the crossover segment. If I were in the market for a compact luxury SUV like this one, there would be one thing drawing me to the NX: the hybrid drivetrain. So we're driving the NX 350h, which gets a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors. It combines to produce 239 horsepower. That's 20% more power than you got in the old NX, and it's a fair bit more than you're gonna get in the RAV4 hybrid, which has the same drivetrain as this. It seems a bit odd to mention in a hybrid review like this, but Lexus says it'll hit 60 miles an hour in 7.2 seconds, which isn't gonna break any records, but it's a 1.5 seconds quicker than the outgoing model. I know it's not really the point of this car, but it is nice that this new NX feels a little bit quicker out on the road. But more important than the added performance is the fuel economy. That's really why you get an NX hybrid. This baby sips gasoline. You're gonna get 41 mpg in the city, 37 mpg on the highway, and if you're doing a little mix of both, you should average about 39 mpg. I've been sitting right at 39.5 mpg, nearly 40 out of this car. That is fantastic fuel economy. There's nothing in this segment that even comes close to this level of fuel economy, which I think is the NX's biggest selling point. Now, 239 horsepower is fine, but if you need a little bit more oomph, Lexus will now offer a plug-in hybrid version of the NX. It's called the NX 450h Plus. No, that is not a streaming service. It's the most powerful version of the NX that you can get with 304 horsepower. It's the same drivetrain that you get in the RAV4 Prime, which I absolutely loved when I drove that vehicle, although I assume because it's a Lexus, it'll be much smoother. I'll talk a little bit more about that version a little bit later in this video. Now let's talk about what's not as impressive with the NX: the non-hybrid version. Lexus offers a base NX 250 model, which has the same drivetrain as a Toyota RAV4, same 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. It produces 203 horsepower, 8-speed automatic transmission. I'm sure it's a little bit smoother because it's a Lexus, but I really can't imagine buying that model unless you're really just shopping for the lowest monthly cost, or maybe the Lexus UX, which is their most affordable SUV, is just a little bit too small. Most people will want to step up to the NX 350, which costs about the same as this 350h model that I'm driving. It gets a brand new 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 275 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque, going out through an 8-speed automatic transmission rather than a direct drive like the hybrid uses. Now, the performance on that model is going to feel quicker than this 350h, but you take a pretty big hit in fuel economy, whereas this will get nearly 40 mpg average. You'll average below 30 mpg in that regular NX 350, and the performance just isn't class leading. So I think the real advantage to the NX is the hybrid fuel economy, not the performance of the gas-powered model. So if I were in the market for a Lexus NX, it would definitely be one of the hybrid models. Now we're going to pull over to talk about the interior, but before we do, now is a great time to remind everybody that if you are liking this video so far, to please leave a like on YouTube. That would help us out so much. Also, subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. And if you want to read more about the 2022 Lexus NX, be sure to check out CarBuzz.com. Now back to the video. So we're going to check out what I really love about this new NX. That is the infotainment. The previous generation NX got so out of date. It was one of the most lackluster cars in terms of technology, but with this new NX, and this is actually the first Lexus vehicle to get their brand new infotainment system, Lexus has leapfrogged the competition. This is some of the best tech you can get in any car in this segment. Now on the base model, you're going to get a 9.8-inch screen, which is decently sized, but we have the optional 14-incher, which is massive. Now, here's why I really like this larger screen. You can see we have all of our climate controls contained here on the lower part of the screen. No matter which menu I switch it up to, you're always going to have your climate controls here. So if you want to quickly up the fan speed or lower it, that's always there. We've got these knobs integrated onto the screen that you can use for your temperature. So those are always there. You have a volume knob, very quick to access. You can turn the volume up or down. Your heated and ventilated seat controls, those are very quick to access. I recently drove the Volkswagen Golf GTI, which also had very few buttons, but you had to go to a separate menu every time you wanted to adjust something with the climate. This integration is so much better. Now, the Lexus interface is very easy to control. You have your ribbon here that has all of the different functions. So you have your radio, music functions, you have your settings. You do have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, though I've been having a little bit of issue making the wireless CarPlay work, but as you can see, it's working here and it looks big and beautiful right now. But I think this is one of the few systems where I actually don't need to use CarPlay or Android Auto because the voice command on this is outstanding. Let me show you what I mean. A lot of these cars have like a wake up word. You can say, hey BMW, and it'll activate the voice command. This has it too, and it doesn't trigger by accident, which is very rare on these types of cars. I'll be talking, doing my video, I'll say Lexus, 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 and it'll activate like every time. This one doesn't, but let me show you how useful the voice command in here is, how quick and easy it is to use. Hey Lexus, turn the fan speed up to 3, please. It's thinking about
Setting the fan speed to 3.
And it set the fan speed to 3. Let's try something else. Hey Lexus, turn the temperature down to 68 degrees. Let's wait for it.
Setting the driver's seat temperature to 68 degrees.
Now, I could have just grabbed a knob to do that, but as you can see, it got it pretty well. But that isn't even scratching the surface of what this voice command can do. Let's just say, for example, you're having a conversation with your passenger, and you're talking about the United States, and you can't remember what the capital of Iowa is, because who could possibly remember it? Not even people who live in Iowa know what the capital is. So let's go ahead and ask the system. Hey Lexus, what is the capital of Iowa? It's going to use the internet.
According to Wikipedia, the capital of Iowa is Des Moines.
Des Moines, there you go. So it used the internet to give me an answer. I think that is super clever, and the possibilities are pretty much endless for what you could do with that. And maybe you're just feeling silly and need a little bit of a laugh. You can say, hey Lexus, tell me a joke.
The rotation of Earth really makes my day.
Okay, some of them are better than others, but it will give you a lot. I haven't really heard the same one twice. And last but not least, I gotta mention the 360-degree camera system on this car. When you go ahead and put it in reverse, it has a 360 camera, like a lot of vehicles in this class. But the cool thing that the NX does that I really love is as you drive over stuff, it'll actually like pre-record it so you can see what's underneath the car. It basically makes your car look invisible. That is really cool technology. But while the technology in the dash is pretty good, I think that Lexus maybe went out of their way to make a few things in this vehicle overly complicated, starting with the steering wheel. So in most versions of the NX, you're gonna get a pretty typical set of steering wheel controls with labels for up, down, left, and right. The controls do various things, but if you get a $1,000 package that rolls in that awesome 360 camera, you get, unfortunately, it takes away the labeling on these buttons, which I think is a little bit strange. So you have these unlabeled controls here, and what you have to do is you have to touch your finger against them, and then it'll show you on the head-up display what they actually do. So here on the left, I have it right now, my audio controls. I can also activate my phone and my voice command, and if I click this little button down here, I can switch it so now it changes what those functions do. And then here on this side, I have my cruise control functions, or if I tap it again, now it controls the gauge cluster and what shows up on there. And you can kind of customize what these buttons do, but it's buried deep within a menu, and I would rather just be able to quickly glance and see what my buttons do rather than have to touch and see what they do on a head-up display. I think this is just overly complicated, and you really can't see what each one does at the same time. You can only view either the left or the right at one time. So again, overly complicated. I'm not a huge fan of how this works. The other thing that I think is a little needlessly complicated here on the NX is the door handles. Rather than just pull a handle, opening up a latch, it's all electronic. So you push this little button, that's gonna go ahead and open up the door. There is a mechanical backup in case that doesn't work. You just pull this and then you pull it again and it'll go ahead and open up the door. That's in case the battery dies or something like that. I can't really think of a reason why Lexus did this other than they thought it was kind of cool. Maybe they're trying to copy Tesla a little bit, but I've had a couple people get in and out of this car and just ask me why they don't have a normal door handle. They're a bit weird on the outside too. Instead of pulling on the outdoor exterior handles, you have a little button in the handle, so you push that. That's a little bit less complicated than what's in here. Now, Lexus kind of sells this as somewhat of a safety component. So basically you can't open this door if it detects like a runner or a cyclist or somebody. So basically, instead of being able to open your door and smash into somebody, if somebody's running in your blind spot and you kind of can't see them coming, if you go to push open the door, it just won't open. Now, I actually tested this with my camera guy, Austin. I had him run through the side of the car as if he was about to pass me, and I tried opening the door and it didn't open.
Watch for traffic.
So I guess that safety function does actually work, but I still think that this whole door handle situation is needlessly complicated. Now back to something that I love about the new NX, the interior ergonomics, especially here up front. The previous generation NX was designed a long time ago, so it didn't really factor in things like a massive smartphone. There was nowhere to put anything. This new NX does it so much better. So here's what I mean. We have this clever wireless charger right here. I can go ahead and put my iPhone down on it to charge it up while I use my wireless Apple CarPlay here. But then if I need a little bit more storage and I don't want to take my phone off the wireless charger, I simply slide it back like so. So now my phone is still on the wireless charger. It slides and tucks under there very conveniently, but I have additional storage underneath where I can put my sunglasses and other stuff. And then when I don't need that stuff, I can just slide my phone back and take it off the wireless charger. That's pretty clever. And one other clever ergonomic touch that I really haven't seen on any of this car's competitors are the power split folding rear seats. So it's part of like $1,000 package, and you can lower the rear seats electronically, which you can do on a lot of cars. But then if you push the buttons again, you can actually raise them up without having to manually put them up. I really haven't seen that on any two-row vehicle like this. So Lexus improved the ergonomics up front, and they actually made this NX larger than the previous generation. Unfortunately, it's still not the biggest vehicle in this class. I've got a decent amount of legroom in the front and in the back, but there are some vehicles in this class that offer a little bit more space, especially in the trunk. With only 22.7 cubic feet behind the second row, the NX is one of the tinier competitors in the compact luxury space. Now you can fold down the seats to open up about 46.9 cubic feet of space, which is still smaller than a lot of this car's rivals, which offer 50 or even 60 cubic feet of space. The one thing I do like, as I mentioned before, is that you can lift these seats up via power, but this is an optional extra that you don't get on every NX. Now moving on to the outside with something that I love. I don't think people are really gonna order them, but Lexus at least tries to offer some fun colors. Of course, they sent me this kind of boring gray. You can get fun colors like red line, nori green metallic, cadmium orange, and this really cool blue called Grecian water. I love the fun color options that are available on the new NX. Unfortunately, that's where my compliments about the styling kind of end, because I just don't think they've done enough to differentiate this new NX from the old model. We've got this very large spindle grille that I think looks a lot better if you get the F Sport handling package, which you cannot get on the 350h. You have to either get the 350 gas model or the 450h Plus. The other thing that I'm not such a huge fan of here, that it has the same problem as the old NX. It kind of looks like Dory from Finding Nemo. Very squished, very vertical, gives it kind of awkward proportions. Maybe I'm crazy, let me know in the comments. Now I will say I do like this new connected taillight bar here in the back, but I'm not so fond of this new Lexus badge where they spell out their name here on the tailgate. I kind of miss when it was just the Lexus L there in the center. A lot of other automakers are doing this, including Genesis on a lot of their models. I'm just not sure I like Lexus spelled out that way. Maybe I'll get used to it over time. Now back to something that I like, the pricing. The NX starts very affordably at just over $39,000. That's gonna get you the NX 250 with front wheel drive. All wheel drive is gonna cost you a little bit extra. But like I said while we were driving the car, I think that base powertrain is gonna feel a little sluggish for some buyers, so you might wanna step up to either the 350 or this 350h. Both the NX 350 and 350h are around the same price, both in the $42,000 range, with the 350h actually being about $500 cheaper. Like I said while I was driving it, I would easily take that $500 savings and enjoy the amazing fuel economy that you get on the hybrid. But if you're gonna go wild on the options, I actually have a unique suggestion. Don't get the 350h, step up to the 450h plus. But while this NX 350h model starts at about $42,000, this one that I'm testing has about 13 grand worth of options, putting it at about $55,000. We're talking BMW levels of nickel and diming here. The luxury package is the big ticket item at $7,450, adding that big screen, navigation, heated and ventilated seats, and a lot more. If you could stop there at around $50,000, that would be fine. But there are so many other things that you would need to add to get your NX like the one I'm testing. Those power rear seats, panoramic roof, heated steering wheel, Mark Levinson surround sound audio, rain sensing wipers, and digital mirror are all a la carte options. By the time you load up an NX 350h to the max, you may as well get the more powerful NX 450h Plus for $56,725. It's over a second quicker to 60 miles an hour and has a 37-mile EV range. And because it's a plug-in hybrid with a bigger battery, it qualifies for a $7,500 federal tax credit, essentially making it cheaper than you would spend on a fully loaded 350h. So that sounds great. I'll just take Jared's advice, and when I'm at the dealership, I'll tell my salesperson I want the plug-in hybrid version. Well, you might run into some issues because just like the Toyota RAV4 on which it's based, the NX 450h Plus is in very short supply right now. So you might go to your local dealership and they just might not have any available on the lot, meaning you'll probably be stuck with a 350h. Overall, I'd say that the improvements to this new NX are more positive than negative. I'm not ready to say that I love this car, but I'd certainly be leaning in that direction. Perhaps some seat time in that more powerful plug-in hybrid will have me singing a nicer tune.